Greetings, my name is Manny Knight, aka Aki Manny the Serial Doodlist, and today I'm returning with a brand new video. Today's video is a little different. It's a re-upload of a previous video that I done. This is an updated review on the Ohuhu markers. I wanted to do an updated review on the Ohuhu markers because now I've actually had about a week and change to actually really play with them, mix them up, and really just see what they're about. And I felt like my previous video was a bit too long, so I'm going to do this video as short as possible, but be far more descriptive and far more detailed in my review. What Ohuhu markers basically are, well, are alcohol-based markers at an affordable price that look and work just like Copic markers. They can be found all over the internet, specifically all over YouTube. Artists, crafters, and people who just love to dabble creatively have gone to their YouTube screens and recorded and done tons of reviews on Ohuhu markers. That's originally how I found them. I was looking for very cheap and affordable alcohol-based markers that I can work with that were a bit above grade Sharpies, and I came across this brand, and honestly I fell in love with it, and I'm here doing a review about it. Okay, so let's talk price points for these. When you're on Amazon.com, because I've seen that Amazon honestly has the best deals for them, you're going to get three options. You're going to get $20, $30, and $40, and this is what you get. For $20, you're going to get a 40 count set of markers. For $30, you're going to get a 60 count set of markers. And for $40, you're going to get the whopping 80 set. Now that's awesome. So this is what you get when you're paying for it. Either one that you pay for, they're all going to come in these actually very sleek, compact carrying case. Of course, the 60 and 80 count will be much bigger. I opted for the 40 count because I just wanted to get a feel. But you get that for that price. And you get a mix of colors. So I'm going to open it up and show you now what they look like when you order them. So you're going to get a whole array of colors. So right off the bat, they kind of look similar to Copics. I'm going to grab this one here. And disclaimer, mine came in black, and you can order them in black. However, they only have the 40 count in black. I did not see Amazon showcasing the 60 or 80 count in black, which is unfortunate, because if you want to vary up all your colors, you can't. But they're just honestly shells, and there's no difference between the white and the black. The white ones look far more closer to Copics. I opted for the black because, well, they just look cool. So right off the bat, I say right off the bat a lot, and I'm going to stop doing that like right now. Okay, so you'll see here that it has like the name and the number. I don't know if you can really see that, but it says 50 forest green. And you have the shell, which is very similar. And then if you open it up, it's a bullet nib, unfortunately. I thought they would be a brush tip, but reviews told me ahead of time that, you know, they were going to be bullet tip. So that's that. And on this end, you have the magical chisel, or a broad tip for wide coloring and I guess calligraphy and all that stuff, which is pretty cool. Now, another disclaimer about Ohuhu markers are you don't control the colors you get, and they're all randomized, but it's not like super randomized. You're always guaranteed to have a series of colors. From what I've seen online and from my own experience, you're guaranteed the minimum at least 2 of a color and the maximum at least 7 to 8 of a color. Like in my batch, I got a ton of greens, and I would say the minimum color that I got was probably 2 reds, a wine red and a basic red. I kind of edged that out with other markers that I have. I have Tombow markers. I love Tombow markers. I'll probably do a review on those in the future. But yeah, so they're randomized, but not too randomized. As for skin tones, I'm going to say it, you don't get a lot. And that's another issue that appeared on different YouTube videos of different YouTubers. They said that they've gotten a few skin tone colors, but they had to like pair it and match it with other markers that they had, or color pencils, which I'm recommending to you guys as well. So if you want like different skin tone colors that vary, get yourself some color pencils or just different markers. But from my experience, I got a cool variation of like very light pinks, and that kind of worked for me. So I can't complain. Also, the next disclaimer is a very important one that I've learned with using these for a couple of days to a week. When using Ohuhu markers, it is very imperative that you create a color chart. I'm serious, because when you write with these or color with these, you'll find that with a lot of movement, you can actually fade and smudge off the actual text. See here, you have the text. Let's see if I can get that focused. Oh, I can't really get that focused for some reason. But you can see the gist. If I go like this and move my hand a lot, fades off really easy. So that would suck if you're coloring something one day and then the next day you don't remember the name or the number, and bam, there's no indication of what you're using. That could be slightly frustrating. I decided to make a color chart beforehand, which I'm very grateful and glad that I did. So pro tip, make a color chart. I think I've covered just about all the things that I wanted to cover about them from appearance value. So I'm going to go straight into actually coloring and showing you the color chart, because I realized I did not show the color chart beforehand. So right into it right now. So basically this is my bootleg little color chart that I made way in the very beginning. Now that I have this down, I'm going to probably make like a better one with like a cooler spectrum. I'm probably not. This is probably it for me. But basically, this is a color chart where you would lay out all your colors, name them however the way you want to name them, or name them the numbers on the actual, you know, that on the label. Sorry, it's very early. It's like 10 a.m. But yeah. So another disclaimer about them. These markers is two things. One, some of the darker colors hold stronger pigment, so they'll bleed a little bit more. And two, some of the colors were not advertised correctly in terms of placement to paper. So some colors are a little bit darker than what they've seen. Like a 69 Persian blue. Here. 69 Persian blue. If I can find the cap. Yeah. A little darker than how it was advertised on the cap, but that's not too much of a problem. I don't mind it. I like the colors overall. I feel like the colors that are darker are a little bit more solid, and the colors that are lighter lay on very nice, airy, and flat, and it gives it that very nice feel when you're mixing them together. So that's all I have in terms of like the color chart and how they lay out. So now I'm going to actually get into the actual coloring of the video. Okay, so we're back. So today I have with me Superman and Wonder Woman illustration that I quickly did. This is actually one of the drafts. Well, it's a copy of a draft that I did for a commission that I'm going to be shipping out later on today. But this will serve as a very cool visual into how awesome Ohuhu markers are when it comes to mixing colors, especially for comics and illustrations. I'm going to get right into it. So let's go. So one thing that I really like about Ohuhu markers is how pretty they are. Once you lay the color down, they're nice and solid. They are alcoholic, so they are wet medium, so you want to kind of work very quickly. But overall, it goes down very well. I feel like this video is going to come out much better than the one that I did for my first review, which was like, I did like a double D Ed, Edd n Eddy sketch, which I kind of colored completely wrong. But this one I feel like I'm going to do a lot better with, because I actually had practice to use these, and I've actually done Superman a couple times with these colors. So for these I'm using a pale blue light, which is I believe 185, I think 135 or 185 pale blue light, and I'm going to be pairing this with actually the color 76, which is another kind of blue. I know I'm terrible. I should be remembering them, but I don't. I just know the colors that I'm going to use. But beforehand, you should always like plan out the colors you're going to use instead of wing it. I winged it completely last time, and I'll probably show like a back-to-back of like what happens when you wing it versus what happens when you actually sit down and choose the color that you want to use for actual illustration and markering. So I'm going to add this in detail. Look at that, I'm already basically done with soups. Superman has always been one of my favorite superheroes, next to Batman, Green Arrow, and Spider-Man. Well, the Flash TV show really made me grow on the Flash, but I've always been a Spider-Man fanboy for life. But if I had to choose somebody else, I'd probably choose Green Arrow. But I am a fan of Superman. Grant Morrison is an amazing talent when it comes to telling Superman stories. Grant Morrison for life. I don't know if I have a favorite Superman artist. They all draw Superman pretty amazingly. Jim Lee is a very good Superman illustrator. He's great at it. But my thing with Jim Lee is, if you look at his inked work sometimes, everybody looks like Superman. But that's just me rambling. But yeah, these colors lay down pretty well. If you work very quickly, you can get strong, solid, flat color. I'm not. I'm just kind of feathering it off, so I'm probably going to get some streaks, which is okay for me, but you always want to take your time with these. I'm going kind of quick because I know what I'm doing this time around, so I can afford to go quick. So I'm going to switch up this to the actual chisel part so we can get to work on adding down the next layer of color. I love chisel pieces. It allows you to like quickly add that detail in. You wouldn't anywhere else. That would take a longer time. Awesome. Alright, now for the next wave of color. Ohuhu markers, just like Copic markers, you can actually layer the same color until you get the desired effect, but for tutorial and demonstration purposes, I'll be adding and mixing other colors with it so you guys get an idea of how nicely these guys come together. And also, I want to say disclaimer, the type of paper that you use will dramatically change the effect and the overall tone of the color that you're going for with illustrations or drawings. Like right now I'm using a basic sketchbook, but the original one that I did looked really nice on mixed media paper. So with that in mind, I'm probably going to start ordering and buying more mixed media sketchbooks in the future. Man, this is very super simple drawing and I'm in love with it. This is probably one of my favorite ways to doodle Superman. I'm not a fan of Superman and Wonder Woman as a pairing though, just because it's canon and DC doesn't make it right. That's a quote from my friend. But what do I know? I'm a fan of the classic Superman Lois Lane pairing, you know, because I feel like it's a lot easier when it's Superman and Wonder Woman. But you know, I feel like from storyline perspective as well as just good character narrative, what made Superman great was the fact that he was basically kind of an immigrant from another planet here on Earth, learning to adjust and become a normal person. But you know, that was not in the cards for Clark at all, and his destiny would be much greater. And you know, it's pretty cool. And I thought that the dynamic with Lois was always awesome, because here you had Superman Clark, who was an alien and falling in love with a very headstrong and confident woman in Lois Lane. And despite her not having any powers at all, she was more than strong enough to match Clark in terms of emotion and other statistic character-wise. So I thought that was always cool. So now that it's like Clark and Wonder Woman, I'm like, oh, okay. I mean, I like Wonder Woman as a character. I'm gonna go see her movie because I think her movie is gonna like trump just about any other DC cinematic universe movie. But I am not talking about the markers at all. And here we are. This is the markers in action. And right off the bat, you guys can. I said it again right off the bat. I'm terrible. I'm sorry. And you guys can see immediately, you know, these colors lay on top of each other well. A tip to mixing them: you can get a colorless blender, or you can get a cotton swab or a Q-tip, lace it with a little bit of alcohol, pat and rub, and you'll mix it very nicely. I can't really do that on this paper because it's like basic paper, so I would not get the desired effect. So don't mind those ugly hands. But as you see, the colors lay on top of each other very well, and I am a fan. So I'm actually gonna start the red and come right back into it. Alright, I'm gonna get right into that red as fast as possible. as you see, this is the finished product of the Ohuhu markers. I got a fully colored Superman, and if you look closely, you can see the details of just layering one color on top of the other. Overall, really good product. I have my pros and cons, which I'm probably going to list right now on the screen. So the pros are for the Ohuhu markers are they're very affordable and cheap. They have a very nice sleek feel to them. They layer very nicely on top of each other as well as next to each other. You don't have to do much to layer them. My recommendation for layering them is cotton swabs with alcohol, or just a Q-tip with alcohol and lightly rub, or a colorless blender always helps. The carrying case is also a plus, and they're very strong pigments for applying that lush color. My cons, the bullet tip, it takes a little bit longer to like fill things in terms of detail, but that's what the broad tip's for. The numbers fade on top of the marker, unfortunately, so you need a color chart ASAP. With the moment you get them, it's imperative that you make it. And the random colors, unfortunately, when ordering them, you never quite know what you're going to get. Like in my case, 2 reds, 7 greens. And some of the colors are much darker advertised than what is led to be seen on the case. But overall, Ohuhu markers are a great alternative to Copic markers if you want to save budget and just experiment with color or knock out some awesome vibrant illustrations. I give them about an 8.5 out of 10, and that's been my updated review. Oh yeah, and I promised I was going to show you guys the side-by-side comparison. So this is the new one, and let's flip through my sketchbook and find that old Ohuhu marker. Hideous Double D, where is he? Oh, wow, he's not in this book. That's crazy. He's probably in this book. No, he's not. Wow, okay, so no. I'll just leave you with this awesome other illustration that I did with Ohuhu markers. Fun fact, she's actually on my YouTube page right now, the 3 marker challenge, which I'll shamelessly plug. You can go take a look at that. But overall, that's been my review, and I'll see you guys in the next video, which will be this Saturday.